right, is everything on? Test, 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 test. Hi, it's been a minute. I've not really posted here in a while, and this is sort of my first attempt at doing that with this quick little tutorial showing how you can take a character's garment and quickly and easily transition them to any other body type that you want. So I'm going through my hard drive and I found this Commissioner Gordon piece on my hard drive that I really liked. I thought the forms were pretty cool, but one of the things I wasn't happy about with this character is sort of the body shape and proportions of things underneath. And I was taking a look at the body that I was sculpting and I did a really quick edit just to kind of get it in a much more aesthetic place. But now, as you can see, the new body that I sculpted, the adjustments that I made, sort of puts him now out of spec for what the clothing was originally built for. And I really don't want to go through and repose every single piece of this clothing. It's going to be a lot of work. And though this is a somewhat subtle change, I'm going to show you in a little bit a much more dramatic change. And I think you'll see that using this technique, you're going to be able to transfer clothing to any type of body that you want. This is really, really important. It doesn't have to be super clean, but I want to make sure that every single piece of your mesh has some semblance of topology on it. That means if it doesn't have topology, I would absolutely go through and Z-remesh it and reproject it. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty. A quick Z-remesh will work fine. I just need you to have topology in it because we're going to be utilizing Transpose Master to sort of reposition some of these pieces. And that just works so much easier if there's lower polygon pieces to work with. The other thing I'm going to need from you guys is to make sure that you have two different body types ready to go. And they both need to have the same topology. That is going to be really important for this tutorial. Please make sure that the topology on that character is the same. So once you have everything sort of ready to go, what I want you to do is hide everything but your clothing. It could actually make what this next step is a lot messier if we include the body in it. So right now what you want to do is only just have your clothing there. All right, so now I'm going to transpose the mesh. I'm going to ZBrush plugins, Tpose the mesh. And what this is going to do is it's going to reduce everything down to its lowest subdivision level and combine it into one mesh. And that one mesh is going to have a parented relationship to the original high poly. So anything I do to this mesh will get translated back into my sculpt. And this is a great way of doing high poly edits, or like in my previous tutorial, posing the character, or doing what we're about to do, which is transition the clothing from one body type to another. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into ZBrush plugins, I'm going to go down to UV master, and I'm going to unwrap the mesh. The important thing here is that this mesh has UVs, because we're going to be using that mesh's UVs in an external 3D application later on in the tutorial. They don't need to be clean UVs. They don't need to be perfect UVs. They just need to have UVs and they need to not overlap. So you can see here, I just did a very default setting and it gave me exactly what I'm looking for. A nice layout of really gross looking UVs, but none of them overlap and they exist. And that's all I care about. Before you export this into a 3D program of your choice, make sure you have groups turned off in the export setting in your preferences. We want this mesh to come over as a single mesh, not a bunch of little pieces. It just makes the process a lot cleaner if this whole clothing comes in as one solid mesh, and then export this into the application of your choice. Okay, so here we are in Maya, and here is the mesh as exported as one piece. First thing I'm going to do really quickly is we're going to go into the UV editor, make sure the UVs are there. They're gross, but they're there, and that's all we care about, and they don't overlap. That's all we care about. Okay, so something to note about this model that's really, really important. The model's vertex order, the order of which the vertexes are stored in the OBJ, are what ZBrush is expecting in Transpose Master. What does that mean? Well, it means that if I were to, say, split this model up into a bunch of different pieces, and then recombine them and then export that back into ZBrush, Transpose Master won't know what to do with those meshes. They will break the parent bond that the high poly mesh has with the transpose model. That's what we don't want to do. We don't want to do all of this work in Maya, have it be brought back into ZBrush, and then turn your mesh into polygon soup. That would be such a waste of time and effort. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep this model as is. We're going to duplicate the model, and we're going to work on the duplicate of that model, hiding what we're calling the master file to be used later. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring into Maya the two body types, the original and the new one, that we also have in ZBrush. I have now brought in both body meshes at the lowest subdivision level. We have here the new mesh that I sculpted, as well as the original body mesh that the clothing was authored to. For now, we're going to take the new mesh and we're going to simply hide it. Not delete it, just hide it. We're going to use that later. And what I went ahead and did is I took the duplicate clothing. Remember, we're not touching the master file. We're talking about the duplicate mesh that we created. And I went ahead and I did split that up. The reason why I did that is I'm about to do something called wrap. I'm going to wrap inside of Maya the mesh to the skin. And it just happens to work way more stably if we do this one at a time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first piece of clothing. I'm going to shift select the skin. I'm going to go to deform, and I'm just going to click wrap. In the channel editor, the input wrap 1 has been created. What that means is that I've created a vertex relationship between this mesh and the skin. So if I were to move the skin, you can see that that collar now comes with the skin because it's been wrapped to the skin. This is going to be really important later. So what I want you to do now is go through each one and wrap each component to the skin. So I've gone ahead and created, as you can see, all of these wraps, which is basically each piece of clothing individually wrapped to the skin. So if I take the skin now and I move it, you can see all of the clothing is coming with me. Every single piece of clothing has been bound to the skin, not shrink wrapped, but simply bound to the skin. We've created a relationship between the vertices of the skin and the vertices of the clothing. This is where this gets really fun. I'm going to bring back the new body type, and some of you have probably caught on with where I'm going with this, but because I have basically created a relationship to the skin's vertices, if I take the new sculpt, shift select the old model, and create a blend shape, now I take that blend shape and I turn it on and watch what happens. Look at that. All of the clothing comes with me in the blend. Isn't that great? So I can actually take this now. I can make this work with any model now. As long as it has this topology of the skin, if I create a blend shape of it now, I can fit this clothing onto any single type of body I want. And for the most part, it comes in pretty clean. We're going to clean it up a little bit inside of ZBrush in a second, but I just want to show you how easy that was. Look at this. I'm just going to take this again, turn on the blend shape, turn it off. That's the original. And that's the new model. Here it is from the side. That's the original. That's the new model. The arm changes, everything. It's really, really neat how quickly this works, basically. Okay, so we have this now. Great. But like I said, we split all the pieces apart. We can't just simply merge them back together and kick it back into ZBrush. ZBrush is not going to know what to do with this new model because it doesn't have the same vertex order as the original model did. But this is why we kept the master file around. So I'm going to select everything we just did, right? I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to go to delete all by type. And I'm going to delete history. I'm going to get rid of all of those wrap nodes because we don't really need them right now. We did the job. It's done. It's great. Awesome. Cool. I'm going to take the original skin as well. Delete it. Boom. I don't really need it anymore. And now I'm going to take the mesh and I'm going to combine them together. Awesome. Cool. So let's bring back the original mesh now that we first created in Transpose Master. That's this mesh right here. So this mesh here and this mesh here are the same mesh. That's really, really important. This is our new mesh. This is our old mesh. Well, what do they have in common? Those really gross, ugly UVs. And what's really cool about this is I can just simply select the new mesh. I can select the old mesh. And in Maya, I can go to transfer attributes and I can transfer the vertex position by the UV space, by those gross UVs we created. I can take those UVs, sample them, and say, hey, the vertices in this UV match the vertex position without changing the vertex order. I click transfer, boom, done. Look at this. Now I have a model, the original model, in the vertex position of the new model that we just created. So now I can go in and simply export this back into ZBrush. Okay, so here's the really cool part. So this is the model as it is in Transpose Master, the one that we originally had in Maya. I'm now going to import on top of it the new mesh we just created. You see how that just jumped? Isn't that crazy? Look at this. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. Now what we can do is we can come in, we can clean this up, because when we're done, what I can do is say, hey, Transpose Master, take the transpose, bring it back to the subtools, and look what's going to happen. It's going to ask us if we want to bring over the UVs. You can say yes, you can say no. They're really gross UVs. It's totally up to you. Watch this. Watch how cool this is. Boom, 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 boom. Check that out. Look at that. Look at that. That's now the new model. All high. Boom. Boom. Look at this. Brought over all the sculptural detail in the forms of the body. Now it needs a little bit cleanup. Boom, here. So here's me edited a little bit in the future. All I did was I took the move brush and the smooth brush, just knocked out some of the noise. Took me maybe 2 minutes to clean everything up. Everything came over. It's great. How cool is that? Boom. Now it's on the new body. I have all the new clothing there. You want to see something really cool though? Because this technique, I told you can do different body types. This is a really scalable technique. Here's another old model that I have on my hard drive that I need to finish, right? This is like my big stylized meat man gangster, right? And so fun little body. I'm going to put Commissioner Gordon's clothing onto this guy. Now you can wrap your topology onto a different model in a lot of different ways, but for this part of the tutorial, I'm going to be using this plugin called Zwrap. It's a really nifty program that allows me quick and easy topology transfer tools. But again, this part of the tutorial you can do however you want manually. The more important thing here is that the topology is the same, whatever the model is that you're blending to. I'm going to take this mesh, it's in different pieces. Wrap doesn't really love that, so I'm going to quickly come in. I'm going to dynamesh it. Everything is nicely dynameshed. Awesome. Nothing combined. Awesome. Great. Now we can wrap this. I'm going to take this super low poly mesh. This is the new body forms. This is what the topology we want. I'm going to append this mesh into it. Look how the size difference here. I'm going to show you this doesn't matter. Let's take the topology, bring it to the top of the stack. Let's keep the high-res sculpt on the bottom of the stack. We're now going to come in. We're going to go to the Zwrap plugin. We're going to start Zwrap. I'm going to show you how awesome this is. This is how cool and quick this is. Here we have these two meshes now, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to just start to mark landmarks here. I know they're both symmetrical, so I'm going to turn on symmetry. I'm not going to sync views because the scale is wildly off, right? So I don't need to keep the scale correct, but I am going to try to very quickly align some of the anchor points, making sure I'm keeping the left and right side the same. Check this out. Check this out. Look how cool this is. All right, now, once I have those points down, check this out, right? I'm going to do ridge alignment, match scale, boom. Those two buttons, I've got the mesh now all scaled up. How great is that? Now we're going to do cartoon wrapping, default values. We don't have to worry about it. Look at this. It's like magic. Check that out. Check that out. Look how quick that was. Look how cool that was. Isn't that nuts? I click done. There you go. Topology is on the character. I'm going to bring this into the Commissioner Gordon file, and I'm going to rescale it so that it matches the Commissioner Gordon size. I'm going to export that back into our Maya scene. Now I'm back in Maya. This is the scene that we had created with like the blend shapes, right? Here's that new mesh we created, right? Here's that new mesh we created, scaled to match Commissioner Gordon. I'm now going to create a blend shape of that form, blend shape. Now remember, this could be any body type you want. This could be a different gender. This could be a different size. This could be different muscularity. The more dense your topology of your body is, the more points of data it's going to have to pull from, which means the clothing may hug the muscles a little bit too much. Let's see what we can do. Let's bring this in. Let's do the same exact transfer, and let's throw a little cleanup on there. Let's see what happens. And you think that mesh was like too pushed, right? It's not, because remember, it's just a low poly and transpose, right? So all it takes is a little bit of smoothing out and cleaning up. Here's a little piece of the elbow poster poking through. Boom. Doing this as a beginning start, as opposed to doing this completely manually. I don't want to spend each time going through and mushing things around. Oh God, that's gross, right? So here's something that like shows you how pushed you can be with this. This is Beefcake Commissioner Gordon. Look at this guy. Look how huge he is. But it works. It still works. It's the crazy part of this. With a little bit of cleanup, this technique works. So you can have now something that starts here, right? And then becomes like this. That becomes this. Look how cool and quick this technique is, that you can kind of throw all this stuff on here using the same exact technique that we used in the easy to pose ZBrush model video that I did. Again, link below for that video if you guys are curious about that. But yeah, I just wanted to show you sort of how this technique works, and I really hope you guys use it. I know once you build a piece of clothing, it becomes really difficult to try to repurpose that, or to do that takes a lot of work. Doesn't need to be. This could be a super fun and easy process, and I really hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I will see you in the next one, which shouldn't take a year to make, I'm hoping, but we shall see. But in the meantime, have a great day, and happy sculpting. Bye.